Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about the best watch of 2024. Well, to be specific, my best watch of 2024. And this is not necessarily the watch that scored highest in a review. It's not objectively the best watch that ticks the most boxes. It's the watch that I have bonded with the most. Before I reveal my best watch of 2024, I have two honourable mentions who ran the winner very close. So we'll start off with one of these, but before I do, as always, I'd love to know in the comments, what was your best watch of 2024 and why? Anyway, on with honourable mention number one. My first honourable mention is this stunning Portobello chronograph. And this was my first experience with the brand Farah. It's the use of colour and the design on this watch, combined with the excellent build quality, that really makes this a special piece. It's not that common when you get over $1,000 in the watch world to find brands that are really willing to take a risk with design and really push colour palettes. There is a few. I mean, Nomos do some great colorways, and Oris as well, but a lot of traditional brands tend to play it safe in these kind of price points. So I was super impressed with this watch, that it has all of the feel of a watch at this kind of price point, and all of the fit and the finish of a watch at this price point, but with a big injection of fun. As far as British watch brands go, I think Farah leads the way in design. Of course, the watches aren't made in Britain, they're made in Switzerland, and maybe you feel better or worse for that. I don't know, I'm happy with it. This particular watch has a cracking ETA handwound movement, really nice decoration. It looks beautiful in the back, beautiful in the front. And although this watch isn't perfect, and I'll leave the links to reviews or videos on all of these watches in the description, although it isn't perfect, it just makes me smile every single time I look at it. And isn't that arguably what this hobby is all about? So thank you Farah for this stunning hand-wound Portobello chronograph. I hope that I'll explore more Farah watches in the future, and you ran the other two watches that I'm going to talk about today very close. The final honourable mention before we get to my 2024 winner is the Erebus Ascent. So I did say watches aren't in this list purely for the fact that they do tick all the boxes. This one does happen to tick all of the boxes. It is incredibly comfortable on the wrist. It feels incredible in the hand in terms of fit, finish and quality. But most importantly, it is a stunning design and it is entirely cohesive as a package. I will try and show you as best as I can on camera how finely polished the indices and the hands are on this, and how they literally sparkle in the light as the watch moves around. The crystal on this watch has a phenomenal AR coating, which really makes it feel more premium. And because all of the attention to detail and the enjoyment in this watch for me is in the dial and the handset, having a great piece of crystal was really important. So I'm glad it does. I find the dial on this watch mesmerizing. I often just sit there staring into it without actually looking at the time. And that's a great example of a well executed design. And that's what makes this watch really special. The fact that it happens to be incredible value for money, and the fact that it happens to, like I said, tick so many great boxes is not what makes it a great watch. I keep grabbing this and I keep wearing it because of the way it looks. I am a bit of a sucker for green watches, and the fume effect, combined with this textured helix pattern on the dial, it's an incredible piece. The fact that it's Jodie's brand, I'm neither here nor there about. You could put any brand or any logo on the dial of this watch. It's everything else that makes it, just fantastic. And I didn't do a full review on this watch. I did initial impressions, and I thought if my opinion changes or I have something more to say, then I'll probably follow up with another video. But to be honest, I still feel as strongly about this watch today as I did at the time I made the initial impressions. And it's not perfect, of course. I do think that the clasp is a little bit bulky in comparison to the rest of the watch, and of course, because it's a slimmer case, You do get a lot of rotor wobble from the Miyota on this particular watch. You can really feel it on the wrist, but neither of these things detract from my enjoyment. Phenomenal piece, and I'm so glad that I picked this one up. But it isn't my watch of 2024. So my number one watch this year is, shock horror, it's an affordable quartz watch. This is the Momentum C Quartz. Now I've got plenty that I can complain about with this watch. My bezel is pretty rubbish, the action's not very good, the seconds hand tends to move around with gravity, sometimes it hits the marker, sometimes it doesn't. The case finishing is decent, but it's not going to win any awards. The case back is at best functional, it's bland, it's high polish, it's just got some specs on it. So why on earth is this watch my number one of 2024? And I can tell you, it's become an incredible daily driver for me. I absolutely love the way this watch looks on the wrist. I like the history behind it. Obviously there is the whole Magnum PI connection and Tom Selleck, but also just the fact that it's a faithful vintage reissue. I think it looks incredible. The fact that it's very slim, it wears very nicely on the wrist. It's highly legible. It's got fantastic lume, and I have put this through its paces. I took this on vacation for the review and filmed it in Mexico. It's been out in buggies, it's been underwater, it's been in the sea, it's been covered in sand. I've taken it to work, I've dressed it up, I've dressed it down. It's so flexible in terms of straps. You can pretty much put anything on this and it looks good. It might only be a cheap Ronda quartz movement, but I've not had any issues with accuracy and only had to adjust the time at the point of the clocks moving forwards or backwards. It just does everything that I want a daily watch to do. I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to baby it, but it has a beautiful vintage charm, it has a great story. It's just an incredible watch, and it's absolutely not one of the highest scoring watches as far as my review goes. I had plenty of critiques for this watch, and I think the fact that more often than not I've gone to grab this watch over and above far more expensive, far more fancy watches just goes to show that, first of all, you should absolutely take all reviews with a pinch of salt, because what we connect with is not directly related to how somebody scores a watch objectively in a review. And secondly, of course, you don't have to spend loads of money to get a fantastic watch and something that you're really going to bond with. And I have to say, I couldn't have imagined, even just a few years ago, ever having a quartz watch as something that I would be celebrating. But as I've pointed out a few times, my tastes are changing a little bit. And whilst I still thoroughly enjoy all of my automatics and the whole romance of, you know, hundreds of mechanical parts working in symphony to tell the time, I'm also really enjoying quartz, and I think that's going to continue on as well. There's definitely a lot to love with quartz watches, again at every price point, whether you're looking at the ultra high precision stuff or if you're looking at entry level. I think as a daily driver they really do make a lot of sense. So that's my best watch of 2024. Like I said at the start of the video, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments what's your best watch and why. It's been a really good year for the channel. I thank you so much for watching the videos, giving it the thumbs up, subscribing to the channel. It's really appreciated. Of course, this isn't my full-time job, so it does take a little while to produce these videos. So yeah, as a small channel, thank you so much for that. Anyway, there's plenty more watches to explore and plenty more content coming, so I hope you'll join me in the future for those videos. But for now, I want to say I hope you have a fantastic Christmas break and a happy new year. Thank you again.